Cinco side, them gal fire. Pull up on the block, rockin' Kingdom attire. Cinco side, them gal fire. Pull up on the block, rockin' Kingdom attire.
Most jelly, jam no shake like that. And most lava because fire no hot like that. Body organic, that gym squat that. 0% fat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, that everything I read.
Yes, I.
Yes, I. You don't say you lie, but when you get
Me have to
Yeah.
do two
up on your own, you understand me?
Yeah, man.
Bless up. Papa, great show, me, brethren.
Good evening. I am G. Michael Reed from Belize City. Welcome to our weekly Wednesday broadcast. Coming live from New York City under the patronage of Mr. C.Y. Clinton Young. We are labeled Sea Smoke, of course, every Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. We're here on YouTube and Facebook, and you can catch us on the back live shows. Just type in Sea Smoke Belize. A lot of issues going on, of course, in Belize City on the local scene. Politics in an uproar. Certainly the opposition in shambles, as the word that is being used by even one of the only standard bearers for the United Democratic Party. I have been saying this for a long time, people. The current PUP will be in office longer than the George Price PUP was in office, and that was a long time. The unfortunate thing is that the people of Belize, by the Constitution, is entitled to an opposition. The type of government that we have, the democracy under which we live, dictates that there should be an opposition, a viable opposition in place to hold the government in check. Whichever government is elected, it is said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Without an opposition, it is giving absolute power to the party in power. And I don't think that any politician can be trusted or should be trusted with such. It is not a good thing. Of course, as we speak, also, look who pops in. Gregory.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening, señor. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Oh, you speak in Spanish también. All right.
Ah.
Well, you live in California, and California is close to that.
You know, I studied Spanish in college for 4 years, and I was able once to travel all the way from California to Mexico City on the bus, and I did very well. I with whatever Spanish I had and whatever English the people had, I did great, and I enjoyed myself and everything.
Gregory.
But over time, it looks like I gave back all the Spanish I had to my professors.
Well, after 4 years, I imagine you would do well just from California to Mexico. I thought you was going to say all the way through to Belize, but
Oh no, I just went to Mexico City.
all right, yeah. I have a sister that lives in. She was born in Mexico City, actually, because
Yeah,
my
it's a
mother
beautiful
migrated.
city.
Oh yeah, it's big,
Yeah,
It's
it's
big,
huge. It's huge.
grand.
I
Uh,
only spent like 3 days there, so I didn't get to see too much of it.
okay.
But it was a great time.
What you saw impressed you, obviously, right? Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Mario Lara, good evening. We haven't seen Mario. I'm sure he's been checking in from time to time. We have not seen him. And
Yeah.
Deidre, of course, is on board this evening with us.
Good
We're
evening, Deetra.
expecting a couple
Good
of people.
evening.
Hi, there's Deidre. All right.
Ariel.
Ariel is supposed to be joining us. There he is.
Good night. You all could hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
man, we can hear loud
perfectly.
and clear. Yeah, man.
All right. Good. Give thanks.
Yeah, man, every time. So how are things on the Mosquito Coast?
Everything is blessed, man. Give thanks, But of course, so there's always a lot of activity and a lot of events going on, But
Okay.
as far as we have health and we have strength, So as long as we have a chance and an opportunity to could communicate to the people, we feel good enough,
Give
But
thanks.
it's
Give
just regular every day, the world that we're living in today, and
Oh
just too
boy,
much things going on.
isn't it something? Isn't it something? The bombs
Yeah,
are
man.
still falling in the Middle East, of course, in Palestine, which is an unfortunate situation all around. I don't know how they're getting away with that. How can the whole world say to this man, cease your fire? And he puts up his finger, like, you know what, all of you can just kiss my whatever. Um, how obnoxious. How really. I don't see it as in this day and age, in this day of internet reality, of social interaction, of the whole world joined together. I can't see something like this happening, but it is. So
Yeah.
there
It falls in Palestine and it falls in Ukraine. So it is
well,
just incredible that we have these two wars going on, and yet the world, like you said, seems kind of dumb to it. We played it up for a little while and then it just gets put on the back burner, but yet people continue to suffer and perish. And good evening, Lisa.
yeah. And Lisa, I hope you're doing better. Remember, I know last week she was under the weather some, and I think you had taken an operation and whatnot and was having some trouble, but hopefully you're back feeling well. All right. So Ariel, anyway, politics both in Belize and the U.S. is getting to an interesting level. Certainly, Kamala is a game changer. Things have turned around. Has it turned around far enough to make a difference in that election? Is left to be seen. No,
Yeah.
Ariel, are you guys following that with any interest down there?
Well, of course. I mean, this is like what I'm saying. When the elephant them dance, the
Yeah.
ants them shake. You
Yeah.
understand me? So,
Everything on the
of
foot get
course,
trampled. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, but like my own take on these things, then, brother, is like say it's good. It's interesting to watch and see what is happening, but at the same time, too, we have to see what role we play in the whole scheme of things. And just like how you mentioned before, like say, it's amazing to see the world that we're living in today, where they're still dropping bombs on Palestine. They're still having war in Ukraine. The Congo is still, there's still like always conflict in the Congo. All over Africa right now, they're having protests. In Venezuela right now, they're having protests.
Mhm.
And this dictatorship mindset is more prevalent than any time before. You understand me? And it's like, say for example, now when you look at the whole situation, it's like these things happening in the eyes of people, even though we are at a level where we have, just like what you were saying earlier, the instance of communication. You have this whole level of what they want to call now like cyber colonialism, what I'm talking about now. Even though them control it, them, but still at the same time, we are able to could access the information immediately. You understand? And it seems like the more we are exposed to the things, them, the more in your face they're doing these things, them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so then that's what make I think in a kind of way, like say, you know what, we have to double down on what we have to do. You understand me? Especially wherever it is where we is in the world, because the way how I seen it is that this group of people who controlling the world more so now than ever, them starting to unite and them starting to do what them need for secure them, because the earth resources depleting farther than where we could even imagine, and them no care. They really, really and truly don't care.
Well,
So
I am not so religious. And for a long time, I'd almost lost faith in that aspect of things, being religious as such. But if there was a time that fit this coming of the end, you'd have to say, boy, this is it. I mean, wars and rumors of war. And, I see, where was that big earthquake yesterday? Somewhere over there in the
California,
US.
we had a 5.8
Had a shake up, no?
yesterday.
Well, that's
Yeah,
small for you guys. You
yeah,
had,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah. But I don't know if they don't want to shake up and wake up. And we're going to have to, at some point, start paying more attention than we are. But Ariel, back to what you were saying, what are some of the things that we can do? What would you suggest that an ordinary Joe that's looking at this and feeling all despondent and concerned, what can that person do?
Well, brother, everybody have to do what it is in their power to do, because like me, for example, I communicate. You see what I'm saying? And everybody have to know what it is where them have to do. We could only, like what we doing right now, this is what we doing. We exchanging ideas, talking about the things them other people hearing. We may influence somebody, you know what I mean? A young person, an older person. That's what the average everyday person, they have to do whatever it is what them could do within their power to become conscious of the reality of what happening. You know what I mean? These is questions that has always been asked throughout creation, throughout the whole existence of man. You know what I mean? But I think one of the things then what I think though, especially people in our level then where we communicating and where we trying to reach people and things like that, is that we have to get more, how do I say now, more serious then, because these people them not running no joke, G Mike. Understand me? Them not running no joke, like sometimes we might want to fantasize and think, like, well, democracy, for example, and this and that and the next. In my opinion, them things them dead. Just like what you were saying earlier about how, like, your religious feelings is kind of like, wearing out. And I think for the most part, the whole world is like that. Most people around the world is like that, because people come into terms with reality then. But when you look at this thing about democracy and all of these things, them is systems and situations where have failed then, and the most people that it fail is people like we, the regular everyday people.
Well, Ariel, democracy failing, dictatorship has failed. What is left? I mean, what's the option then? Because we then would then fit into democracy, because we have to. We cannot be alone, because you can say, well, a person has to do what they can do from where they are, but they have to do it in coordination with others. I mean, we have to be on page to make any kind of difference, because one by one, well, you know what happens. You're absolutely right. They're not joking. So people have to be unafraid, start coming out, start speaking out on the issue that you see that is wrong. Because many people say it and like, oh boy, that's not my business. I'm not going to deal with that because it's dangerous. But at some point, you have to be brave enough to stand up and say, well, you know what? It's dangerous anyway. And at the end of the time, what am I going to spare myself by being afraid? What difference can I make for the better by not stepping out and speaking out? So we need that,
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, like I said, brother, that's the most thing what I do. Like I talk to my people, them, and I am grateful. Like even this space right here, I'm so grateful for being a cast like this, because just to be able to go talk with Billy's people, and you know what I mean, and just to be able to could communicate and just to say, well, hey, this is what happening over here, this is what going on over here, and to say how much of what affect you all affect we, especially in Musketia, then, But on the level of what you saying now, and like the everyday person, I think the situation with the everyday person going to always be the same. You know what I'm saying? The everyday person is always going to be looking about their food, their everyday activities, and their everyday things. Them
busy and
those
hungry.
people, and those people are the vulnerable people. Them is the people where they're going to always keep hungry. Them is the people who they're always going to keep in that position of vulnerability. You see, so now the people who is the thinking people now, where is people from our community especially, we don't have them kind of level of thinking where we want to do something, like seriously and take control of people and doing these kind of things. But same time, them doing it to we and them doing it to our people. And them is the things that we're causing we know for being the sufferation situation. Because where maybe we stepping up to like say a level of say middle level now where we is right now, where we could actually like control our media and where we could talk like this and things like this now. But them even have a bigger grip now. You understand me? So we know we hear and we discussing and we talking and things, but we not reach to that level of say, you know what, we have to be a little bit more aggressive now, and start reaching out, sinking our teeth a little bit deeper then. Because like take for example, and this is something that I use all the time. The number one resource that we have right now as people is what them want to call the diaspora. That is one big thing. And we, up to this day, from day one, and this is not only Belizean community, this is the whole Caribbean community. You could have said the whole Latin American community. And we have not been able to could overcome a situation where we own our own economy up to this day yet. You understand? We have not reached there yet. No Jamaica, Trinidad, none of these places them have been able to could exploit that to the fullest and take it back to their community.
I hear what you're saying, but the problem with that though is that whenever even when we get to that point, who do we put in there then that we can trust to help bring this to the proper use that we need it to? I mean, who can we look to? Everything seems so hopeless. Everybody's just self-serving. And let's see what Mario's inputting here. Just keep hope alive and keep fighting. Okay, the world is not perfect. We're living in the best of times.
Yeah, man.
There will be poor people always, but even poor people today have lots of comforts people didn't have 100 years ago. My grandmother lived in a thatched house with no floors, no electricity, no running water. Now that's all good and well, Mario, but I don't know that we can just I don't know. I think that's kind of like settling for whatever comes our way and not reaching for more. Yeah, I agree with you, and I've been one who has said that continuously, that things are much better than they used to be. I grew up going to the pipe, putting a bucket for water and come home. Now I walk in the shower, turn on the water, and it's there. So there has been improvement and in the standard of living. But as far as when we look at one person owning 68 billion, hundreds of billions of dollars, talk about the richest person in the world, and the next person is on the street, while I am having 3 meals a day, and I'm grateful for that, I must also feel for the one that's having none and that's on the street with nowhere to go, and realize that the wealth of the world is not being distributed equally, and until it is, we have to fight. We have to raise our voices. We have to do something.
Yeah.
Now, tell me what that is the question, because I mean, we can scream at the darkness all we want. How do we light that candle? How do we fill the room, illuminate things so that we can see better? I cannot agree that it's the best of times. These aren't the best of times. When we hear about the wars over there, it is said that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And any person that is subjected to that kind of injustice, we all must be concerned, and we all must condemn it, and we all must fight to make things better. Because we're one people. We breathe the same air. We drink water. We eat the same way. Everything. Nobody has rights that the other one ought not to have. And it's a small planet. And we're all in it together. I see Christopher is in. Hi, Chris. Your mic is muted. You want to jump in here for a minute and let us get a young person's point of view, if you will. All right. It seems like he hit the wrong button because he jumped out instead. Yeah. Make we look at a situation in the US a bit. Is Trump gonna win? Can Trump win?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would say he most definitely could win. It had looked more bleak with the new coming up of Kamala Harris, vice president. It seems like at least it's not going to be a straight march if it ever was. So I think some people are really grateful, but we still have, I think, another 200 days or something like that to make this happen.
Maybe I'm not in tune with all the intricacies and whatnot. What's the real danger of Donald Trump becoming president of the United States? What's the real danger?
I think the real danger is himself in some of the things he had advocated that he'll do. Some of the things that kind of, when you vocally go out and say that you're going to take reprisal against people that you have disagreement with, I think that makes everybody turn. Some people say he's just saying that, and nothing is going to happen because whoever is administering him is going to put restraint on that kind of stuff. But I think even if it doesn't happen to the extent it sets a bad tone. um, he does have some of the policies that frees up some of the restraint on and open up economies and things like that, and take some of the shackles off businesses, which I think, in his last term he did a lot of that. The taxes have that business paid have been reduced, and so the what goes to the national troffers, that's collected is even less than it was before. So it puts a bind, and it means that more of the taxes and the money to run the economy and stuff comes out of the hands of the poor and middle class and working people of the country. So that's one of the danger that I think some people find. Um, he did have a more decent record in terms of building relationship and keeping at bay South North Korea, and then also he was buddy buddy with Putin, and so things had seemed measured at that point. Also, he had brought NATO to its knees in terms of having them come up with making their a more fairer contribution to the to their defense, and not putting the burden on the American people. So there's some definitely some things that he did.
But speaking of NATO, isn't NATO the problem for the Ukraine war? You spoke of the two wars, and both wars are terrible. Unfortunately, America is funding both the wars. On the side, I don't know if it's the right side. Certainly, it's not the right side in Palestine, because the
Yeah.
Israelis are vicious.
Yeah.
In Ukraine now, NATO wanted to put a base in Ukraine.
Mhm.
We remember what happens.
Well,
happened
that wasn't true. That
what
wasn't
wasn't
true.
true. What wasn't true? They
NATO,
still want to join NATO even right
oh
now.
no, but you said NATO wanted to put a base. NATO have all for a long time been saying to Ukraine, let's play this out and see. Ukraine was pushing to join NATO, but at many points along the way, NATO itself had kind of exercised caution with Ukraine. But they
NATO
should have
or when you say NATO or the US,
NATO,
because we have to define that.
No, I'm saying NATO. I'm saying NATO.
Does
And in
NATO
the
have a
US,
mind?
in the US.
The NATO doesn't have a mind of its own. It doesn't seem though.
Well, in some regards, it does. The United States is the hegemonic power of the group, and so they exercise a lot of the decision making. It seems, and NATO goes along with it. But NATO had exercised some restraint and was putting a lot of obstacles in the path of a quick join for Ukraine all along. They were telling them to come into the union and to establish economic ties and all kind of stuff, rather than direct and immediate membership, because I believe they saw the problem of NATO and the threat and the
So
temptation is what opposed
what was Russia's concern then? If it isn't that the premise upon which they invaded
I
Ukraine?
think that's the premise, but I don't think that's all of it. I think Russia that always concerns them, because to line up more people and to put bombs on the border with you and stuff that are that are just minutes and seconds from destroying your country is always a threat.
Who does that?
Well, that's what Russia was concerned if
Correct. All right, but
Ukraine
you're
joined NATO.
yeah.
But I'm saying that NATO itself had also expressed some of those concerns and was exercising caution. But sometimes some countries put bombs and stuff, and they still don't have full NATO membership, right? The full agreement that your attack, we'll attack. You know, we are attacked also. So I
So
think,
would you say Putin is just a madman? He's just crazy, he's just gone in there with
no, I don't
no.
think so. I don't think so. I think that he thought, probably for sure he thought that it would have been easier to exercise the control over Ukraine and do a territory grab. I'm sure that was part of his objective.
Because if you look on it this way, I'm hearing the conversation. So the thing is, the way I look at Russia with Ukraine, because remember, we have to go back to World War II when the USSR were like one big thing, and that the USSR, you know, it was about world domination. Even though you had the Nazis on one side, USSR, it was like a whole big thing in World War II. And USSR, Ukraine was actually part of it. But after the end of World War II, you know, there was a what to say, like there was like the
Somebody got
formation
a
of the
feedback.
United.
Do you have a radio on behind you, Christopher? Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't hear that. Try quell that for me and then come back in, right? Going back to World War II now. I don't know. Well, the USSR was there.
It was
and
a different country, though. It was a different. The USSR wasn't quite constituted the way it was after the Cold War. After the World War II, it became a different sort of system. They built up after the Second World War. They weren't quite what they were.
All right, and then in the 90s they dismantled.
Yes.
And some countries went their own way, including Ukraine, who got independence, right?
Ukraine, Poland, and Czechoslovakia, and many of the other Baltic states.
And of course, a number of those countries did put NATO bases in their
That's correct.
Country.
That's correct. Yes.
And again, then you have to look at Russia and say, well, maybe self protection,
self-preservation,
self-preservation might be again. We look at the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, which was basically the same thing.
Exactly.
Russia trying to put some weapons in America's backyard, and America was getting ready to go to war for that, and Russia backed down. Apparently, in this one now, Ukraine was not backing down. And the reason they're giving is that, well, they didn't think Russia was good. This is the reason I've heard from many talk shows, that Russia was not going to stop at Ukraine. They had aspirations to conquer the whole area and spread throughout the whole. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I've heard from the other side that suggests they didn't. They just wanted to preserve their own safety.
We never know, but you know, I think people believe that Putin in particular, being a former KGB, always had the dreams of reconstituting the old Soviet Union. Would he have done it the same way? Probably not. But trying to get alliances and get friendship and stuff, I don't think he was going to be invading. With just invading Ukraine, we see he didn't have the capacity and full capability and resources to do it.
Let us look at the concept of world dominance. If there's one country that's guilty of trying that, it has to be the country that you live in. And Gregory, wouldn't you say that they're involved in how many bases around the world, how many countries that are being run? I mean, let's be real. Let's be honest about this. Who is really interested in, it seems, in establishing world dominance? And is it a correct way? Because even when you look at what is happening at home in the U.S., they're having their own problems now. The two sides, because let's face it, Biden for 4 years, you're talking about Trump putting the money and not taking more money from the poor. But where's the money that's going now? That's being taken from taxes and whatnot to fund the wars. Don't we see a problem there somewhere with that?
I would have said the foundation of the United States is domination. The foundation of it. It started out as a domination. You know what I mean? From the moment when them leave, what them call the United Kingdom, and come here to this part of the world, them dominated the indigenous people. Them dominated everybody. and it was like around what, around in the early 1800s when they start shipping that out. Early 1900 when they start shipping it out to Central America, to South America, and they start shipping it out farther and farther and farther. And that never going to stop and it never going to change. You know what I mean? I like say when you're talking about the election, in my personal opinion, I feel like say all of them think them done preset already. And I think Donald Trump is going to be the president. Not because I'm going to vote for him or not because I support her. So this, I know whether I deal with it or not deal with it. That's the way how I see it.
Or what you want or don't want, no?
Exactly.
Many people are looking at it as what they want.
Yeah, you see, people still in this delusion about democracy and this and that and the next, and that's fine. That's good. I understand that. I get that. You understand me? And in my opinion, what they're doing right now is like they're just boosting up this, like the democratic race. They want to make it look like it's on some kind of equal footing. They don't want to make it look like, say, well, you know, it's just a complete domination then, because they always have to keep the people upholding a kind of way like that. You understand me?
You know,
That's a very cynical. I just want to jump in here. That's a very
ahead.
cynical way of looking at it. I do believe that there are forces and stuff that controls the ultimate ruling of how democracy functions in the country. But I think the individual people do have the power in this society and in any democratic society if they're willing to exercise it. So I'm not one for a conspiracy to think that one person already have it in one way or the other. I think that the people makes that decision.
So you believe in democracy?
I believe that democracy can work. I believe that
Is
democracy
it working?
It can work.
Yeah,
democracy can work. You know what I'm saying? But I don't look at it either like say a Donald Trump situation or a Kamala Harris situation. Or I don't look at it that kind of way. You know what I mean? Like to me, that is not nothing, because the people them who dominating it like how G Mike said, is the United States dominating. That's the face what dominating. You understand me? But that's not the real people. The average everyday American people, they don't even know what's going on in the rest of the world.
It's true, you know. It's true.
No,
They don't
I
even know
understand.
what
I
is going
understand.
on.
I
You
understand.
understand me?
I
But the
understand.
people them who push, the people them who is it's just like everything going on in the same way how it going on everywhere else, you know, like how it going on in Venezuela, but Venezuela can't hide it like how the United States could hide it. The China, them could hide it better than how them could hide it over in another part of the world. Everything going on the same way. You understand me? It's the same thing, but it's just that some country, them expert in covering it up, them expert in using it the way to benefit them. But the money people, this country, the United States, will always be running things in this country.
You know what I found ironic? When in Venezuela the elections were held, and it turned out that Maduro was declared the winner, but there was a contention there, and the U.S. sent the Blinken with the boy name, because that boy there, that one devil, a boy a devil. They sent him down there to declare the other candidate the winner. And I'm saying the irony of all ironies, look what happened in 2020 in the US when Trump said that he won, and then there's a whole almost an insurgence, if you will. So how can you don't have the moral authority to go in there and tell them people, no election, no fair, then this one win, that the next one win. What's the interest there?
What is the interest? Then people is sitting on plenty aisle, man. That is what that is the interest.
So they want somebody friendly to them in office.
Yeah,
But it's so blatant, though. You know, it's so and again, the unfortunate thing, and you hit it on the head, that the American people, most of them don't even know. Many of them don't care. If you go out there in the streets of America and take a poll, I guarantee you most of those people will be against sending all that money to fund wars. And this that will happen under the Biden administration, where Kamala Harris was the vice president.
Vice president, exactly.
Though very silent.
And it happens under every government.
Exactly.
It happened under Obama government. It happened.
Well, but that's the point. That's the point that Darrell is making.
That's the real thing. You know?
But that is true. That is true. because the country, while we elect leaders and we may get some populist ideas, there's a governing overall arching and governing principle that actually run this country, and it's economics. It is economic power, economic stewardship, and those policies comes up against everything. So no matter what a president may be, as the most liberal person, he may get some of his little agendas in, but overridingly, it's going to be the national policy of the political economic elite that runs dominant in this country.
Yeah.
There are
And probably every country too.
Every country, because you have to look out for your survival. You know, as a human being, you have to look out for your survival. So if you create a system, that system has to survive. It have to survive, and them working for the system. You understand me? So them, you know, it's like the most basic things and what they use to control the poor people. Them as well. Them throw this thing about racism, and this one is racist and the other one is racist. Barack Obama is not a racist man, you would have said. But underneath the leadership of Barack Obama, how much things happen in Haiti? Look at what they do to Gaddafi over there in Libya.
It is.
You understand me?
What surprised me, I realized when it was brought out that Obama was the most Israeli-friendly president ever.
And
well,
he
I don't know if it was most friendly, but
they sham it like if it wasn't. Yeah.
No, he wasn't the most friendly, but he was.
Oh man,
no. We have to be truthful and we have to be clear on it. His hands was forced many times. But I mean, and he gave a lot of money to Israel at that time, more than any other presidency during a peace time.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But if you remember, Netanyahu attacked Obama many times and went around him. He circumvented Obama
it showed him that he was ballsless then. He was not the big man that we thought he was.
No, not ballsless. Not ballsless, but that he had more sway and power. And he have done the same thing with President Biden. Fortunately, or I don't know about fortunately, but most often President Trump always sing the same song as Netanyahu.
But that's the problem I have with these two leaders, because yes, Trump was the one who put the embassy in Jerusalem, and Trump has said that he would give them the money to go in and finish the job. Now, what finish that job means is up to anybody's interpretation. No, a total annihilation.
Well,
genocide.
You have to always look at what the Israeli policies. You know, the Israel is American proxy in the Middle East, and American has the greatest.
Or is it vice versa? America has because what you're saying that Netanyahu has so much influence and power over these U.S. presidents. Who is the proxy? Who's proxy?
No. In terms of maintaining control and power and policies and influence over the Middle East in terms of military, all our strike forces and equipment are in Israel to get to the Middle East, and so when we support the Israel in these efforts, it is our own interest we're protecting, and the interest is oil. The interest is Saudi Arabia oil, Libyan oil, African oil. All the resources in those countries. That's the purpose of it. So we are not going to, as a national policy, no president is going to give up Israel. They may talk loud at them. They may want them to behave in a way that's less rambunctious, I would say, right? And stuff. But in terms of policy, they're following.
So who's gonna grow that? Who's gonna grow the pear? Somebody, you know who I like? I like Bernie Sanders. Have you ever heard him speak?
Yeah, but Bernie.
Yeah, but what difference? What difference? Any one of these people I'm going to make, brother. At the end of the day, let me tell you something.
If they're brave enough, it might make a difference, Ariel. It might make a difference.
In 1967, this is something where, like, the military people, like people who is military in the United States, this is something where them always protest against. In 1967, I think it was on June 8th, the USS Liberty, okay, was over there in Egypt, you know. It was in spying because that's what the USS Liberty is, a spy ship. And that is when Israel they want to attack Egypt, I think. And Israel bombed the USS Liberty and kill off some people, bomb it down to nothing. Up to this day.
And they
You
took
understand?
they took the nuclear weapons that was on it too.
No, it was just a spy ship. It was just a spy ship collecting data. But what happened is that this ship would have so Israel was attacking Egypt when they wasn't supposed to be attacking Egypt. You understand me? And them never wanted that get back to the United States. So then bomb the ship and then they gonna do them attack. And after then they gone back to Israel. Up to yet the people them, the sailor them who was on that ship, no kind of retribution. Nothing happened to them. Nothing happened to that.
It's like it never happened.
Exactly. You understand me? So that's what I'm trying to show you all is like the power that Israel have. Israel know too much things about this country, the United States. You know, so that one of the most powerful thing where them use is bribery, you know, in Washington. Washington controlled by bribery, especially nowadays. But no matter what government it is and no matter who it is, them always afraid of one element, and that is the element of people. And that's why these people are coming down to Trump's, not Trump in the sense like Donald Trump, but these things coming down to the nitty gritty, and they have to control population the way how they need for control population. And plenty of people don't know how this thing getting serious, you know.
That's the problem. Do the population have to make it so easy to be controlled? My God, when are we gonna do something? This Arton raised a question: who controls the drug trade in this world today? He addressed the question to me. I don't know, and I don't care. Drugs are not the problem, you know.
It's the people who use it.
Yeah, right. And not only that, how they use it too. Because when you go to hospital, the first thing they do, that pump you in with drugs. That the same drugs they use there is a mind-altering substance. And take, for instance, weed. You have people that smoke weed all day, and they're useless. Then there are people who are brilliant people, and they do smoke weed also. But they contain it. And a wise person once said, and it has stuck with me through the years, weed makes dreamers of potential achievers. You watch a man smoke a giant of weed and sit down and then right now, the popular thing around town, I don't know if your area, Ariel, is this. Watch me. I'm crushing weed in my hand. They stand up on the corner. This is what the young boy then do all day long, crushing weed. And as a part, that's a rites of passage, if you will. And just a way of being today. So when it comes to the controlling the drug trade, that again, I think they want distraction. It happens. That is going to happen. People, as long as there's that demand, there will be the supply. As long as people look for it, they will make it found because it's lucrative. There's money in it. So when they're fighting the drug trade, I don't know. Maybe they have to just let it all go. Freedom, let it be legal. You want to not make sure it gets in the hands of children until they're a certain age to make a decision. But once they get to the age of 18, they are considered adults. They can control their own lives, make decisions that affect them. Then they ought to be able to do that in any way. Just if they can vote for the wrong person, my God, they can use the wrong substance. That's all I'm saying. It's equally dangerous. So
as far as that, what I say is that well, you say how the young people them smoking it like that. So we's the one who have to control it, because so that we could sell it to them, since that's what they want. Because it's like, say, just like how G Mike said, better than legalize it straight up. I don't know about hard drugs and them kind of things then, but especially like, say, if you check out these communities where we come from, you go to my community where I come from in Bluefields and in the communities them, you could have said at least a good 90% of the people them smoke herb. Like all day long. The fisherman them out to sea, them smoke more giant than anybody else where I know. You understand me? But where these things then come from? They come from offshore, and we have enough land where we could plant up and sell these things them to people and control it ourselves. That's just how basic are the thing where I think about. But that is not even my thing where I concern myself with them, because that is like we say, that is beyond. I not even think about them kind of thing them to say,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you have to come down, if you have to come down to the pull down, that's something where we should control because it's a plant. First, of all, we're just talking about marijuana itself. The other things I might not know about, but marijuana itself is a plant, and it could grow in any yard, anywhere in the world it could grow. You understand me? And it's like we get, if anything, the government then brutalize our people them for them kind of things. The man is foolish, and is meanwhile next places in the world is legal. And we, in my community where I come from, people go jail all 10, 15 years for having a giant in this day and age right now to the day. And that is
All
just
right.
foolishness.
Let me welcome Dickie to the show. Dickie Bradley. I don't know Ariel if you know Dickie. Ariel.
First time I meet him, but I seen him on the program before. Give thanks, man.
Yeah, man. I think Christopher wanted to talk a bit about the Olympics. Chris, did you fix your? I don't even see him on the screen. Is he here? Yeah. Did you fix your issue?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
All right. You sound better. All right. You want to talk about the Olympics? What about the Olympics? I see Simone won more gold.
Yes.
And then the guy who was accused of being a man beat up the league girl till he cry. Is that a man or a woman? Because I'm reading a whole lot of other things now.
Well, what happened is that at the Olympics there was a controversy surrounding that the fighter, I guess from Hungary, that this person that was biological man because of they failed to do a genital, something like that I was reading up, and the fact that but again that are just based on what they're saying right now, but there's nothing like proven to a point, but they're saying that he has the chromosomes of XY or something like that determines him as a male, and then that became like the big controversy in the fight. But at the end of the day, the fact that the genderness of all of that is just very like it was something very intriguing, and end of the day is like it could be really hard to tell whether if it was a man or a woman, to be honest. But end of the day,
Christopher, how do you view the transgender thing? Do you believe there should be an extra bathroom for them? Do you believe we should welcome them into the folds of society as such? Is it nobody's business? Don't ask, don't tell. How do you? What's your view from as a young person's perspective?
Well, as well, in my own personal view, and not to say in any way or any disrespectful or any to a point, but the fact about the transgender, the fact that people are like converting their genders like man into woman or woman into man, but you got some cases that is understandable, that especially with mutilation ongoing hours, that you got some people that are born in either with male or female chromosomes in them, which is something that is totally respected. But that is something at one side I look at it and respect it. But then you have some points now whereby some people feel like, they feel more because they're behaving like this particular gender, and it's very controversial. But it's something that young people is like, well, some people, so some will support, some will not. But for me, I just place myself abstaining from the whole thing because it's just
you don't have a point of view on it at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. That one, I mean, almost an elephant in a living room. Now you can't really get wrong it. You're gonna have to face that at some point. Interesting. No point of view is an interesting point of view. Let me put it like that. But as far as that now, Belize sent one person to the Olympics. We didn't place too well. Any comments on that? Where are we lacking there as a young person? What would you like to see?
Well, the only fact that Sean Gill became the only person that represents Belize, even though it's sad, but end of the day, with Belize, we're lacking with finance and resources, is that we do have the resources, but the problem is that we're not using these resources properly to invest more into at least us. And decided, and then the fact that Onishan went to compete, and even though he still do a good job, it just tells us that how we have a lot to improve with our infrastructures and also with our investments as well. Because you see, the problem is that with us here as athletes, you know, the key thing is that we have to reach a certain standards, but in order to reach those standards, it takes, again, we were talking a lot in the Setting the Pace podcast, you know, it takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of, you know, that commitment, that consistency, but at the same time, we need to have the proper resources and equipment to fuel that consistency and that dedication to reach to that point. And you know,
I heard stories about Pele, and Pele started out playing football with a milk pan and then a coconut, and that he put in a commitment. When is the last time you passed any of these fields and saw a couple of young boys running around getting themselves in shape? Where is that personal commitment that is necessary? Because if you're going to excel, you have to be in shape. I don't see the kids getting themselves in shape. I was impressed the other day. I saw that Yabra, and I really was impressed at the young. I had to go and tell him why this is how you get to that point. Not, but we put a lot of emphasis on the resources and even the infrastructure, but not enough on the personal commitment necessary for a person to excel in any field.
but then also, yeah, but then also you must look at the thing as well, that you see in Belize we have a lot of people that has the potential, we have the talents, we have everything, but the problem is that these people are not getting, they're not getting that exposure out, because we got people like from the south, like for example, those that get the scholarships from down south, you know, it tells us that people from down south, we must be aware of it. But then the problem is that the way how everything is setting up is that they're only looking for those that are well within the certain areas, but people that are far from within the reach of these things is like it's something that we have to consider, but at the same time it's very unfortunate, because then like when we get to meet those talents far away that does excel well, it's like is either it's too late or it's not, but it's something that we have to take into consideration, that you know, it's about finding those and then invest in those,
Chris,
because you got some that are dedicated. Yes.
Chris, there's a friend of mine in the U.S., Max Gentle. He's a friend of, he's a brother to Sammy Dredd. Many know Sammy Gentle. He's usually on the show. Max was telling me that last year they had a guy, or a couple of years ago, they selected a guy from Gungulu, and he gives scholarship to kids from there, and they selected one guy because they wanted him to get training in track and field. Mute your mic there for me, Chris, because you have a feedback. You have a radio on in the background. Anyway, they selected the one guy. This person was from Gungulong, really the poverty-stricken area, and they sent him to Jamaica on a scholarship, track and field scholarship. He lasted 1 year and returned home. He could not do it because he missed home. He wasn't. He thought he was going to be in a dorm by himself. He was put in a dorm with two other people. Again, that and it's good that Dickie is with us, because this is a part of the issues that we have to discuss with Dickie at some point. Where is the personal commitment? Where is the sacrifice that has to be made from the individual? I know society has a lot to do. I know the government needs to do more. I know it'd be nice to have all the money and whatnot, but there are people who have made it to the top and share perseverance. They're insisting that they are going to make it regardless of the odds, and have done so against some huge odds. It can be done. Are we not giving these people, are we not letting them off too easy by saying, oh, it's not your fault? It's that we are not giving you money to do it with. Your mic, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what happened is that I know you got some individuals that were given opportunities to compete, and eventually they came back home And one something like that I hear, to be honest, it was like you were given the opportunity to go out abroad, be able to get the experience, the opportunity, and even be able to get that exposure, especially with track, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like, I don't know if it's the fear or the fact is that probably is like, because it's like if you're getting these investments, these scholarships to go out to get the training properly, so that when you come back you can help build others, or
You
you
guys
waste
good.
it all. It's just it's something. Yeah, to me it feels bad, because then it's like, then you're wasting an opportunity that benefits you, but at the same time maybe somebody else could have gotten an opportunity. Even me myself, someone who, yes, I started off track late in 2019, but I had some moments where I was at my prime, especially in 2021 when I competed in Nicaragua. I brought home a silver medal in the 800 meters. you know it's you know and then the thing is that right now is like, yes, the main point is to try to get the youngers involved in, but at the same time it's like I'm also encouraging even the youngers who are in track, like, if track is something you love, it's something that you literally could go to the core, like you must treat it as something, like something prestigious, because only by treating the things that you love as a priority, that's how you can be able to succeed. But if you're only doing it because the money that there, the fame that there, then it defeats what is the true purpose. So that
So
is
my
just
point.
my light in
Yeah,
terms of it.
my point is that it's certainly more important than the money that they're putting into it is the effort and the energy that individuals can put into making themselves qualified, right? I just think we're not
Yeah,
looking at that enough. We're more focusing on, well, let government put more into it. Let us build more. Let us spend more money. At the end of the day, it will take a determined public, individuals to do it. Dickie, jump in when you're ready here for me. You got your mic on mute, and now you're still up on mute. You're the talk, but not the area. You're up on mute. Unmute the mic. Look for the mute button. Look for the microphone with the thing across it, and hit on that. I'm seeing you with the city screen. The
You're
mic is
still
on
on mute.
mute. The mic is on mute. Where your mic there? Where your look on your screen on the bottom. Somewhere down there you want to see mute, stop cam, settings, present, leave studio. Don't hit the leave studio.
I don't touch it.
See, man, oh, Lord of mercy. You in it. Now you in it. Yeah.
Make I try carry the make we take one look like this. We in Belize are part of two huge subset. One is that we do have the genes of our forefathers in Africa, and we are also as close to the rest of our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean as we can be. And the young lady that won the gold and beat Richardson from the USA in the sprint comes from a small country. She comes from a small country, small in population, small in resources. So the question is like, all right, let me put it this way. Do we have anybody right now from Belize, coming out of Belize, who could go and enter into maybe semifinals in the swimming competition? And the answer is a resounding, of course, not.
And we have water, we have fishermen, we have people that live in the water.
Rivers.
Yes.
Right. So let's start there. We live alongside the open sea from Corozal to Punta Gorda. We have lots of rivers. We have a bit of ponds and small lakes and so. but we don't even have a swimming club. We can say, let's see BDF compete against Coast Guards. Let's see the Army go up against the police. Let's see the high schools against the uniformed. We have nothing going on in swimming, which ought to be a natural thing because, as you say, we have sailors and we have fishermen and fisherwomen, and we have islands where our people live. So you could have an individual talent, and God has made us that we individually have several talents, but if we don't develop it, if there are not lots of avenues for us to develop our singing ability or musical ability, dancing ability, even our intellectual ability, then the fact that somebody sprout out and could run very fast and run faster than all of us is not good enough, because you want to encourage a whole culture.
Well, let us put it all together then. Make them swim for a bail. Put a bail out there and exercise. Who get there first could keep it or something like that. Now, because when we talk about the utilizing of the drugs and making sure it work to a benefit, I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying.
All right. So
the point is that there is no. We in Belize, we are living in a structure where there is no policy. There is no sporting policy. There is nothing to say, well, all these young people who are going to high school, even primary school, they all have motorbikes. They all have bicycles. They all have their 2 feet. We could be encouraging. There's nothing to beat competition, so that you can throw up who you could say, these people are raw talents. We need to take them further than just St. John's Primary versus Wesley Primary, or St. John's High School versus Anglican High School. You need to have an ongoing program in all the districts and the villages where all your young people are engaged in sporting activity as well as sporting competition. They should be doing it in cultural matters as well, developing their ability to play musical instruments. If you don't have that, you get what we have. You get, by the Olympics to come around or the Central American Games to come around, some ambitious official, Russell Solis, donations and things, and any athletes where he could pick up figure because he wants to go too.
Sad.
They end up going and they come back with all kind of stories. So the problem is, as a young nation, we don't have any direction as to how to be able to identify those who are the most talented among us. We have to also have that, no?
Ariel, how is it where you are? Are you seeing any similarities to what's happening with us in your own country?
Exactly the same thing, man. Exactly the same thing. I mean, that's why I say our community and Belize is a carbon copy of each other.
How do we fix it? I mean, what do we do? Do we as people have to demand it at election time as opposed to the $50 that we demand or the $100 that are the favors that we get? Should we maybe be demanding that they put some money into infrastructure, into the sports, into the arts? And I happen to like what I see happening at the with the Children's Festival of Arts. That is a start.
Take for example our relationship with Nicaragua. Nicaragua, we produce the best basketball player them, the best track and field, the best boxer them, the best of any sporting event we go on in that country. Them we supply Nicaragua. Right now we have a youth where is an NBA prospect. I think he playing for some team. He used to play for Miami Hurricanes, and now I think he gone somewhere out in Texas playing. Yeah, an NBA prospect. We had a boxer where did make it all the way to the heavyweight. You understand me? But Nicaragua will never invest. We don't even have a track in our part of the country. We don't have no baseball stadium. Well, till now they're starting to try, because politically everything, they're trying to show so well they're doing something politically then. But what it come down to is like say, again, it go back to we were the here in this country. You understand me? And that's what I mean when I say we have to pump it into our people. We's the one who have to do it, G Mike. We have to figure out the way how I could do it, because them government them never yet going to do anything. We're going to make people be on an independent thinking level. Never. I don't care which part you go in the world. You're always going to be the same thing.
For clarity, you spoke of Nicaragua as another country. You're from Nicaragua, right? But
I don't consider myself from Nicaragua.
All right. How is that going with the whole Mosquito Coast business, so we could bring Dickie up to date on that conversation?
Well, you have a Mosquitian independence movement. You understand me? And right now, that is one of the if we could become an independent country, now is the time to do it. How Nicaragua once again is in this dictatorship conflict. You understand me? They're getting ready now to fall. You understand me? Once again, what it was 45 years ago, same thing happened. You understand me? And then now again in 1979, the same thing happened. Now we're back here again, 45 years later. They're getting ready to overthrow now. The same dictator who overthrew the other dictator is taking over the country now. So now, when this happened in 1979, our people opportunity to take care of themselves. For me, the Mosquito independence movement is not really and truly the main thing what I focus on, more than say that we as Creole people have to start doing things for ourselves. You understand me? And so the only place where we could do that is in a Mosquitian country. You understand me? So
you're talking about creating a whole new country.
No, you don't have to create, because Mosquito is there. You understand me? You don't have to create that.
They're where? Aren't there countries taking up all that space? I mean, is there anywhere out there that can be called Mosquito Coast right now?
Of course. Yeah.
Now, it would include a lot of other countries, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would include Honduras. It would include parts of Costa Rica, all the way down to Bocas, down in Panama.
And you find it's
even pieces in Colombia, even part of Colombia.
So, but is that practical? Are these countries going to give up that land, so to speak, so that we can?
Well, something very interesting, G Mike. The part what Colombia have is two islands, two archipelago. You got San Andres, and you got Providence. You understand me? And interestingly, Petro, maybe like 6 months ago, him actually said that he's willing to give back Mosquito, them two islands, but they have to be underneath the Mosquitian kingdom, because that is in the history. It's not even something that we just sitting here talking them, but it's just that most people just don't know. It's just most people don't know.
Go ahead. Is that Deidre? Go ahead.
Yeah, just for our viewers who may not be familiar with Mosquitia, Mosquitia was a kingdom that was never conquered by the British or the Spanish. It became a protectorate of Britain because of the Mosquito kings, who were actually Creole people. Similar to Belize with an ICJ case, Mosquitia was forced into a reservation in 1860. And then in November of 1894, it was forcefully annexed into Nicaragua. In 1960, Honduras had placed claims to the land, similar to what Guatemala is doing to Belize. And the ICJ ruled in favor to divide the territory. And then recently, I don't have the date offhand, but fairly recently, and Ariel, you can correct me, Colombia staked claims to those two islands that Ariel just mentioned.
Yeah.
So their history, like Ariel has said, is a carbon copy of our history. And there's a lot we can learn from it and what they're going through as Creole people. They're fighting for their identity right now.
I don't know. Dickie, are you following this?
Yeah.
And any comments on it? What would you
Well,
think?
you know, we have branched off out of sports into the problem of the mosquito tribes in our region. I am going over a book. I may have mentioned it on your show. It's called How Britain Underdeveloped the Caribbean by Hilary Beckles. And there are information in the first couple chapters which are absolutely it's disturbing, is putting it too mildly. It is almost a frightening piece of history, because when Columbus made his several trips and was followed by those who came seeking for gold and seeking for wealth, they met a number of very different ethnic groups or races in this region, and groups like the Arawaks. You may have heard that name in your history lessons. There was a group of other persons living in our region, the Taínos, and of course what we call the Caribs. And most of these people ended up
Genocided.
yes.
So,
by
but
exposure to their disease. So, but that is a
but you said two things, and I need to.
Yeah.
No. Make a jump on that, because you said he met different races, and first you said ethnic groups, which I think is the correct definition, because there's only one race,
there's
the
no
human
correct-
race. And when do we get to understand that? And I think the sooner, the better for us.
Well, what about the rat race?
Well, you're the top one, different thing. You know,
Because we are
that-
fighting. All right, let's take up from where Brother Hamilton was discussing what he thought some of the problems. We, the people, we can't do nothing about developing sports to the levels where we would want without active help from our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who have the same problems we have. They are struggling to survive, to mind their family, to pay their bills, and so. So this is not a thing where we holler people power. People power can overturn governments. People power
That's right.
can replace governments. In fact, it just happened in Bangladesh. Who would believe it would happen in, of all places, in Bangladesh? And the students there who have been shot down and killed and still came out every day protesting, they have said this are not like, well, we satisfied that we overthrow the current government. We want they have to make sure that we come behind, live up to what we would want to see. So people power work in those things, but to say, why, you know, it's up to Belizeans to see that we produce world-class athletes, we don't have the financial resources.
But you just said that the small country that even less with less
Yeah.
resources was able to do it.
But you and I don't know what came behind that. Maybe there is some corporate sponsorship.
Well, something
behind.
did, whatever it is, something
We
did.
need to know. We need to know. Otherwise, we'll just be grouping around suggesting. So let me do this though, with your kind permission. We in Belize don't have the luxury to to be fumbling around with sports right now, because our democracy is in collapse.
Mhm.
The formal constitutional opposition of Belize is splintering before our eyes. And when they weren't that splintered, and when they were a little bit more organized and united, they were hardly making any dent into the governing party, which has this huge majority and which has all this awesome power. So we have a problem. We need, like you and Greg and Ariel and Detra, and I see Mr. Castillo blinking in on the screen. We need to try to stir that conversation, if we could get one, the narrative, the discussion, to try and do something to make we have a functioning country. You cannot function without a formal opposition, even if they are in an informal grouping. You can't have a plane trying to fly with one wing. You can't have a bird. There's no such thing as a bird with one wing. Our system that we have inherited and adopted from the British, this level of parliamentary democracy, only functions to a certain level when you have an effective opposition that is challenging the ideas and policies and legislation that those who are ruling the country are putting forward or are failing to put forward. We have a big problem in Belize right now. We have a big problem in Belize right now because our system allows the ruling party to call a general election anytime. And when you have the opposition, which is already at its most weakest, now splintering and can't get along with one another, you know what will happen. That in the next, in fact, I have told you guys on the show, I feel like general elections is early next year, but it could come earlier with what is happening.
Somebody was suggesting that this morning, that's what the PUP should do. In fact, Troy Gabb on Love FM was doing, and I wanted to challenge him on that, because with this whole constitutional reform that is supposed to be going, which seems dead in the water, by the way, for all intents and purposes, wouldn't it be time then to put in, say, a specific date for election, like the US? At least they have that the first Tuesday in every November of every fourth year, there will be an election. Isn't it about time we consider that, and maybe a 4-year term?
That idea is in the little booklet that they are circulating, that we should have a fixed date for elections in our country, because it's unhealthy that it's like in a boxing ring, you're not supposed to punch below the belt and you're not supposed to punch a man who is down. We allow that to happen in general elections. So you are correct. We need to have that as a unchangeable law in the country, that a general election has a fixed date. So if you get a big money, like has happened in our country, we got $600 million from Hugo Chavez, because that nation is floating on oil. They were able to assist everybody in the region, including some small states in the United States of America.
To their credit.
We used it, the powers that be used it to pull off a general election before the 5 years. And who can fight against a government with $600 million? So that is an excellent idea, and that idea is, in fact, as one of the suggestions in the
see, we can't depend on them to keep each other in check. Even if you have an opposition in place, that's not what oppositions do in our country. Is it time maybe for an ad hoc committee? Is it time for citizens to come together and say, listen, we have to hold two own in check, because we're not certain to hold each other in check. And sometimes you wonder if there's any difference. This is getting back to what Ariel was suggesting with the US system also, that they're both the one and the same. You're given a choice between two of the same thing. So how are we going to fix that situation?
These are very difficult matters, but at least we can. You see, the system of having a group of men and women who agree to become the opposition in any country, that system in itself leads to what you are suggesting, because they have banded themselves to be the opposition. They end up getting resources. Those merchants and business people and wealthy people, the elite, the aristocracy, whatever name we want to give, they don't all hold the same view. There are those who figure, they eat too much and they make we get nothing. So they will encourage an opposition in order for their crowd to get in. So built in the system, with all its flaws, are persons who are motivated to challenge the existing party in government, to attack them when they do fool, to attack them when they fail to do. And that brings with itself its own dynamics. Whereas what you are saying would be wonderful But all the countries in the Caribbean, the English-speaking Caribbean, which have a different history from the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, all the English-speaking countries, most of them has tried. There are some excellent intellectuals in Jamaica and Trinidad who have tried that route, but why when the bell knock, those who are for the champion and those who are for the challenger, they will left you standing cool and then go along with the party. So at least make we have a champion and a challenger so they could ventilate and expose what is going on and what is not going on in the country, so that then persons like us who are sitting here tonight discussing issues can then maybe join in and say, why we don't support this or we support that. And
let me ask a question to you all who might know, because I saw something interesting and I thought it was kind of funny. I see like Shine was having a problem with another politician, and they claim like there was some kind of violent altercation going on there.
Yeah, it's a minor thing. They had
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that that.
a minor thing. They had their they attempted to have a meeting of their party on Sunday, and
they belong to the same party.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
the opposition.
Yeah,
the opposition.
The other person to that issue is the second deputy leader. Shine is the leader. The person is the second deputy leader. The first deputy leader did not attend the meeting. The meeting was technically to discuss how they could improve their party machinery so that they don't end up losing in any other election the way they lost in Toledo recently. But the meeting was then being used by forces which wants to replace their leader, Mr. Barrow, Honorable Barrow. And so those who were all planning and plotting to catch him by surprise, to confront him with a large number of delegates, over 200 delegates had signed their name to a petition calling for a change of leadership, calling for a national party council, their highest body, to deal with the problem of leadership.
Right then and there.
Right then and there. They wanted to say, well, listen, we got a majority on our side. Let us then make a decision, because they are only the party council, they are not the national body. Let us make a decision today, Sunday, that we will call a national.
You're talking about the majority of standard bearers for their party, right?
No, the majority are delegates.
The delegates that vote for these parties. All right. Yeah. But
the delegates are the ones with the final say. Remember,
because when you say majority, you have to be clear on that, because it's not a majority of the people, No,
their constitution allows for a certain amount of delegates depending on the number of voters in your constituency and so on. And it is the delegates that make the decisions at the national level.
What I found disturbing, Dickie, is that they paraded out Jan Saldiva, and if disgraced politician had a face, you would have to have been looking at it at there. And the mess that he has been involved in, or been rumored to be involved in, I think should be enough to remove anybody from the political scene, and to bring him as an alternative, I think is a disgrace.
But then that party did not defrock him. The party did not dash him out when he was in the middle of such a huge scandal. You see? So, listen, the political parties in Belize, of which there are only two, there's a small one with Wilmy here and a couple guys. The two major political parties, they have many faults. Then the effort. But it's like you will see, it's the only game in town. Until others put themselves and say, well, boy, we want corral, want 8 man, want 10 woman, and we want join up and do things. Until that happens, this is the only game in town.
Well, but Dickie, and you know what, though, because unfortunately for the opposition, and I have no horse in this race as such, I'm not endorsing anybody or any ideas, but the PUP not do too bad as a government right now. You're not seeing the the scandals that is normally out there. And if it was happening, you'd be hearing about it, because certainly you have people looking at them closely. So that might be telling you something.
Sounds like you got a horse going there.
No. How does it? I mean, see,
He has declared
no. It's a funny thing, because if you don't jump on board on one side, you're on the other side, and that's unfair, because that's not always true. But I can look at that and say I'm looking at the PUP, and I don't see the type of scandals that they're known for, or even that the UDP is known for.
Yeah,
this has nothing to do with not having an opposition, because by the Constitution, we should have an opposition. So there should be a viable opposition, a strong opposition, because that's the only way the democracy is going to work.
Well, let me share with you my humble point of view on what you have just said. The People's United Party has been in the desert from 2008 until November 2020. Shamika White has said, "Way mean PUP, no, they do bad. Mostly with scandal. They can keep secrets good, yes, but the worst economy under them." Shamika is sharing her views. Oton Castillo is saying that when a petition is submitted, it needs to be investigated first by the chairman, and then it will say if it holds water. Yes, Oton, but the chairman refused to accept the petition. He was wrong. The party leader was wrong. If your delegates come to you, if a group, whether they are minority or majority, and they bring an issue to you, you have a duty and a responsibility to them to say, yes, make we look at it, and at our next meeting, which won't be longer than a month or two, we will give you our views. You don't reject people like that. You don't, because they all belong to a party. They are not doing anything illegal or improper. They are bringing an issue. They should have maybe indicated ahead of time that we will ask for an item on the agenda to do so and so, but they kind of issue there, you can't forewarn your enemies. But the point is,
didn't they pass a resolution at the last party council meeting that they would not allow that to happen? So,
well, I don't know if you could say that. You can't shackle people. You can say, we endorse that Shine Barrow will lead us into the next general election.
Okay.
We could say that, but you can't tell people you can't raise one issue. You know?
But right. The issue is to replace him. That you can't tell them that. If you're saying that we're committed to Shine Barrow to lead us into the next election, then you can say to them, you can't raise the issue of replacing
at least have a discussion with it. No, man, you can't touch out people things. So, but let me go to the bigger issue, which is looking at the PUP, it looks like they're doing good. But this is not about doing good, because that's the way they get paid for. Nobody never forced them to go in elections. It's not about doing good. Okay, fine, you're doing good. Maybe you borrowed a big money, maybe you built a road, maybe you saved some money on one of these elaborate projects and so on. Fine, but listen, G Mike, me and you know, right? Because we live in the belly of the beast. There are many other things that we, the people of our country, we are unhappy about it. If we were to take a 30 minutes right now, make all we say what we think is not being dealt with properly by the government, you would have a long list. So yeah, they might look like they do good, and yeah, they do good in a number of things. Only yesterday, I think, the elected representative in Belmopan announced that come September, Belmopan Comprehensive High School will now be free to all students. All students. I myself don't really agree they should have a means test.
Exactly.
If the parents, they can afford it, I don't see why they should get a free meal when in other schools poor people are punishing. But the concept, the idea, and even the practice to say free education at high school, college by college, we can't fault that. We could find fault with the nuts and bolts part of it. That is a good thing.
One of the problem I have.
But
one of the problems.
Hold on. As I look on the screen right now, even with Miss Dietra, who I don't know, and the lights are showing her to be much more clearer than the rest of us, on the screen, alone Creole on the screen. Boy, Ernest Brandon, I know that name there. Good night, my favorite chairman. That is none other than G. Mike. I know the Brandons there, or at least some of them. So let me say this. Make us start with this. Make us start with a big one. Let me say to you that all over the world, white people have reached in their mind, they are the majority, nothing is 100% all white people, yeah? The majority of white people in all white people country have come to a conclusion, it seems, they don't want any more migrants of a certain color to come into their country. All over Europe, this is what the big rebellion is about. This is what the challenge to those people. We might, I'm one of those, feel like, boy, one man like Donald Trump, they man, they no business nowhere close to power. But millions of white Americans, they with Donald Trump.
There are a lot of black Americans that are with him too.
Unfortunately, but the majority of blacks don't know where they want the in for when he get in. But my point is, all right, let's say another one of your viewers. I see with both arguments, the problem is changing your mind after a vote. Let's say that they are using a certain member as a pawn to fulfill their agenda. What if after there is a new leader, they change their minds again, in quotes, lol, laugh out loud. They will petition again because the rule they set have been broken. Yes, but that is in a democracy that happened.
But yeah, but that the president is set indeed.
In a democracy that happens.
What happens? That rules are broken?
Yes,
you have the right to change.
Rules are there to guide us. Rules are there to guide us, you know.
Yeah, but it can't be that easy. This is what she's saying. It shouldn't be easy. No, it shouldn't. You can't just want anybody could just get up and say we want change leader. That doesn't make no sense.
The majority makes
there's a procedure, man. Two of us can talk together. Let me share one story with you.
Yeah, but Dickie, come on now. Let's stay civil. Let us stay civil, Dickie. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll give you one story we all know. Jesus was supposedly sitting down and playing in the sun. And a lady they must say, and run straight towards him. And was crowded behind the lady. And Jesus asked, where they going? And then tell her, the crowd, spokesman like me, I want to open my mouth. Then tell her, we catch the bitch in adultery. The law is she is to be stoned to death. That is the rule. That is the law, G. Mike. Who says that it can't change? Did Jesus tell the lady, Mom, I'm sorry, but you have broken the law, and this law has been around for thousands of years, so you commit the crime, you now take the penalty. No, Jesus said, all right. Since we're so good, we start to stone them. Rules are made to be there to guide us. When Jesus made the walk and pick on with the dirty hand, they not tell her, you know, wash your hand. The rules is we Jews wash your hand. Did they tell him that why are you working on the Sabbath?
What I find interesting now is that you in your line of work, Dickie, would hold that view because you are the law is what you hold up every time as how you fight the cases that you fight. It's the law. Is that not correct? That the law is the law.
Diverting from the position that rules are there to guide us, not to shackle us. We make rules and we change them.
And the rules you're talking about laws.
Well, if you want to take it to legislation, don't they change laws all the time? Don't they?
Yeah, but there's a process. You cannot just jump up and say, boy, we don't want you here, we can get rid of you. I mean, it's just not done that way. And you and Morrison are suggesting it ought to be.
No,
that doesn't make sense.
We're spitting here as all we're saying is that rules are there to guide us, not to shackle us. Even the law, we change the law when we find out that it work havoc. So the point is really, if you are in a political party and there are those who feel like things not go correct, they are to be allowed to ventilate their views. Otherwise, this is not a democracy. You can't shut with them. They should have allowed their own members, their own delegates to put forward their views, and they have a meeting to trash it out and settle it. You can't shut down people.
Listen.
Yes, okay, all right. So the bigger issue is
hold on, Dickie, because you're the controlling narrative and have to Gregory was trying to say something a while ago. You can't go on and go on. The first rule is say what I have to say and shut up. No, let me say what I have to say. Shine Barrow I'm no fan of Shine Barrow. But to just say that they're not giving any reasons why we don't want Shine Barrow there. We just don't want him. We rather Tracy. It's not a good enough reason to break a law that was passed, a resolution that was passed at the last party council that said we are going to stick with Shine until the next election. Come with something better than to just say, oh, we don't want it there again. You see my point? And I'm no big fan of Shine, I'll tell you that.
The purpose of political parties is to win elections. So far, from what people are seeing, even in that party, they're not winning elections. So it brings to purpose that they need to re-examine whatever condition and whatever situation they may have agreed to at some point in the past. And
Excellent.
I think that is just, and that is the reason
But-
why they should allow
Excellent.
that such a measure be at least be
Is that a
tabled
part of the
and discussed.
process? Is that a part of the process of doing it? Because what they did there, as Dickie was admitting, they had that meeting for a specific purpose. They deviated from that to go to a personal agenda. I mean, and that is what the man objected to. That is what the chairman objected to, and I could see that. And again, I have
Of
no.
course, because it is interrogating him, so I'm sure he sees it as a personal agenda. But
Yeah.
it is a proper position to take if the political party is not winning election.
Oh man, come on! They were
And-
winning.
And the second deputy leader of the party is sitting right there. You can't disrespect everybody like that, man. You can't tell people we don't want to discuss that issue. That's not how democracy works. You are right, G Mike, that they did not go through the full proper procedure. But the point is, if
But
you practice that
you
when
can't
you are in
either. You
opposition,
can't
where
either.
you want to do when you get in a government, if you practice a shutdown dissent and a different view. But anyhow, that's not the big issue. You all raise the big issue. The big issue is, are there matters and issues and policies which are not helping our country that we are not discussing because, one, the opposition is a failure, and two, the party in government is doing an okay job.
I don't
Yes?
know if they're doing such an okay job. The
Well, you could
problem-
always find criticism.
No. Let's look
No,
at the
Yeah, nothing is perfect. Let's be real.
No, I understand. Let me have a second.
Right.
Look at the fiscal burden they're putting on us every single month. They're borrowing to the tune of $4 or $5 million.
Boy, have you
Right?
checked the U.S. government lately? How much
I
they
don't-
borrow?
The
Every
US
day.
The US has the
Now,
ability. The US has the ability to pay it. We do
Yeah.
not have it. This will be a crashing.
Or they
burden.
don't have to pay it. Let's put it that way. They have the
Yeah,
ability to not have to pay.
they'll go fight a war and take somebody's
Yeah.
oil.
All
Who
right.
this who they borrowing this money from? Where this money coming from?
That's a good
Whatever-
one.
from
There are
all
lot of
over,
lending-
everywhere,
there are
every
lot of
country.
lending institutions that lend
Like what,
money.
the IMF, the
Right.
Well, they
World
didn't
Bank?
go to IMF. They're
Not so
the
much the
most
IMF,
threatening
but you
one.
have like the Inter-American Bank,
Development.
you got the Caribbean
Caribbean.
Development Bank. We have started to borrow from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
Um,
and European.
Monies are
and all of
available
them.
out there. We just hope that they are doing their best to borrow at the lowest interest rates.
And
They-
putting it to the
And
use
that
for which
is
they're
money-
borrowing it.
And right, G Mike, right. Because you know there's a project that America has, and they have included Belize in it. And we are going to have a big signing ceremony shortly in which Belize will get $250 million through this American project. It's not going to be all one lump sum dump on you, but it's going to be spread over a 3 to 5 year period. And no doubt we would have to put up more specific programs, because when some countries and some lending institutions, they want to see that the money goes for what it is borrowed for, because one of the problems in the world is that countries and governments borrow money and they find ways to. We have it right front of us, but we not discuss these things enough. The Haulover Bridge, which is like maybe 4 miles from Belize City, the Haulover Bridge was going to be started just towards the end of the UDP government. All the architectural, engineering, and structural devices. Yes, this young lady bring it up. Ditra is saying 250 million towards education. No, Ditra, portion will go to education, and they're saying a bigger portion will go towards our energy problem that we have. We have a major energy problems in Belize.
Yes.
One of your other Othon Castere is saying they want to remove Shine because they can't manipulate him. He's not weak. Ever since he got into the seat of opposition leader, all they have done is to attack him. Shamika is saying, Halover Bridge, get me emotional. Laugh out loud. But we have to discuss it.
Yeah.
The previous outgoing government was in the process of sending out what is called the tenders. Those who construct will put in and say, I could do it for so much. They were going to build that bridge for $59 million.
It was a different bridge. I say it was a different bridge. It's not the same bridge.
I'm coming to that.
So
the other crowd get in and they say, we do it for 38 million. Yes?
Yeah.
So we as a country, this is why we need an effective opposition. We as a country need to discuss this. Why we're going to build one elaborate structure for 59 million, and why a next one?
You can't just look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
One was a showcase bridge, right? The bridge we have right now is a totally inadequate bridge for the projection of the future. It's still a Halover bridge. It's still a 2-lane bridge, one going, one coming. And they tell us this bridge is going to last us another 100 years. So what we'll need to do, the bridge they were doing before was going to be a 4-lane bridge. What they have done is shrunk the bridge. They're not telling you that. It was going to be a different designer bridge that would have been a showcase and a showpiece for the country.
Did they borrow 59 million? Did they borrow 59 million? And so they saved.
No,
they saved then. They did it for 38.
They changed the loan. They changed the loan.
Okay, because if you want to talk about that,
yeah,
then let's talk about the Fabers Road project that cost what?
No. Of course, there's lots of scheming and stuff, but I'm saying we can't look.
I'm saying you can't pit one against the other like that.
No. We have to understand.
I don't know if there's a difference, man, with the two of them.
No, there's a difference. There's a difference, and we have to understand it because it's not just a delicate difference. It's a meaningful difference. It was going to be a different type of bridge.
All right. Well, you talk about the bridge or you talk about the two parties? There's a difference between the two parties.
There's no difference between the two parties.
Okay, well, yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
They're both self-serving.
It is the nature of politics and politicians that they are going to waste up public money. They're going to thief whatever they can thief, and the people always the last on the list. That is what we need to discuss. We need to ask ourselves a whole heap of questions, my boy. Why we have substandard health care? Why we don't have no sporting policy? Why we lack so many things? That's why you say that, well, and they're doing a good job. Yes, they are doing a good job, but that ain't job. You come on the job. That's your job.
I don't see you doing a good job necessarily when you're just taking money.
No, I'm just using that. I'm just using that.
Careful, you're dyed in the wool red you deal with. So
no.
Let's be honest.
Money makes the difference between what we perceive as good and bad. If money is flowing, people perceive everything is going good, right?
Not necessarily. That's not what I base my opinion on.
No. If people don't have hardship, I'm talking if they could go out and there's money in the pocket, the government is paying its bills.
Well, there's still hardship.
No. I'm talking that perception is the important one for how people make decision as whether things are going good or not. In most instances,
that was not Joe mine. That was not Joe. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam Gentle has jumped in. Who is the Auditor General in Belize? Don't that office account for all the monies?
We don't do an audit.
Very good question.
Well, Joe would answer that for you.
Sorry?
Joe would answer that for you because he has
Yeah.
made it
That is
quite clear
correct.
that they're not doing it. And in fact, the candidates who go into office who are supposed to declare their assets, do they do that? As far as I understand, they're not doing it. And who's going to hold them accountable?
That's
Who
why
demands that they do it?
that's why we're having this discussion, that it may
And
look
and
like they're
and
doing a good job.
and you all think that like having two opposite parties benefit the people in general?
It
Well,
gives us a
that-
competition idea, but
Well,
sometimes
good
one
question.
serving one party. If we could farm a way to just have a collective and
problem.
rotating system.
Well, I believe it was Plato
Absolutely.
who said that a benevolent dictator would be the best system. But where do you find that?
It's the most efficient. It's the
There's
most
no such
efficient.
thing.
Benevolent.
I don't believe
they
that.
have-
A society, gentlemen and ladies,
yeah,
a society
competing
is
ideas.
like kind of like this. You have the church leaders, you have community leaders, you have different voices and views in your media, you have at your university level, you have lecturers and professors, you have the politicians, you have sociologists. All of us make up our society. Society is a lot of wheels within wheels. You have farmers, they have maybe a farmers cooperative. You have workers, there are workers unions. You have young people have their student bodies and their youth bodies. All these things go to make a society and a community better. The more groupings you have, the more you allow for participation of everybody who have a stake in their country. That is how it works. I read somewhere some years ago, and this is not a quotation, but the idea is that democracy don't F up system, But guess what? Until
It's the
better
best
comes
that you
along.
have.
Yes,
I think,
that's what I want.
I think it's Winston Churchill that said it.
Okay,
Who,
fine.
who himself, you could, anyway.
So what the question for us is, those of us who are here tonight, Ms. Dietra is saying each party also controls who remains employed. Yes, it's a fight over resources, and when they get in, they're pushing their cronies and family members and those who wave the flag and go to the meetings. And so that is unfair. That is wrong in a democracy. Employment in the government service is to be built on merit. It is to meet a known criteria. You have 3 or 5 CXCs, you can apply for a job at the customs or immigration and wherever, and the best candidate win. So
Well, let's be real though. Let's be real. I know a lot of people who have held jobs throughout both.
yeah, but that is what we said and not they do it. That's what we're saying.
I know the contract workers will get fired and changed, but can they really? Is it with the union in place? Can they really just fire people like that and hire who they want?
If you have a system, G Mike, in which in the government service, we can't tell private sector if they do their job. They want to hire them brother and sister.
Correct. The public service, right?
But in the public service, the law is any department has a vacancy, it is to be advertised to the whole country. And there are committees from the government treasury, the auditor general, the ministry of the public service, whatever, that sit on these interview committees, and they make up a short list and send that up to the Public Services Commission, which should be made up of persons of some integrity and above party politics. There's a procedure, man. The two political parties cannot continue to destroy our country by misusing and abusing their powers in office. That is the big problem we have. So I was just saying what Maurice was saying, that, well, let's just use it as a slogan that the one way they do an all right job, or it look like they do an all right job. That's not good enough for us out here.
What would you expect other than that? Of
No,
doing,
but
doing a good job. What other than that would you expect them to do?
Well, when I got to primary school, a lady named Miss Sybil Reyes, who is Frankie Reno, who show me how to bathe. You lift up your hand and you put your then had a thing like Spanish towel, you clean your crotch between your buttock, how to bathe. She used to drill in your head, good, better, best. you never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. That's all we're asking. Don't sit back and why would you do a good thing? My constituents say I give out money, I give out the money, not for them money, the public money. They give out when they call it grocery bags. The grocery bags come out of we money,
Pantry.
We can have a better country. The people in Belize deserve to live better than how we are living. And if there are those who think the government they do good, fine, they're entitled to that. But we are also entitled to push and howl and holler and do what we can for better. Because
But don't you find a problem? Don't you find a problem with many of us who are programmed just to object? Many of us that will never be satisfied once our party is not in, but once our party is in, we get real quiet. Don't you find that? And it's not a problem.
That's the beauty of being human beings. We are not gorillas and apes. We are living, breathing, thinking animals.
Right.
We have a
Let me ask you this though, like, what you all think that this present Belize political system, do you think that this Belize political system is designed to uplift the Belizean people?
It could.
Well,
it is not designed for it.
You win votes by satisfying the majority of the voters in your country. And if you have educated, thinking voters, that helps towards that process. How you have educated, thinking voters? You have formal education, you go to school, and you have informal education where you read their mandala editorials, where you listen to discussions like you guys have, where you can have access to panel discussions by persons who are qualified in whatever the issue that is coming up. That is also how you have the kind of citizens that help to make their country better. Our problem in Belize, we want to blame the voters, we want to blame the people, but if the people are not conscious, if the people are not informed, if the people are not educated, then we will come by, we are like the citizens in the United States of America.
Aren't we? Don't we blame the politicians more than we blame the people? And maybe shouldn't we be blaming the people sometime for going there and voting and taking the money instead of demanding better policies and
but they are hungry. No. They are hungry and they're uneducated.
Oh, they're hungry. Well,
they're looking to satisfy.
They're hungry.
No, they're looking to satisfy the immediate needs. And some of it is just
and you can excuse that away. That's okay.
No. I'm not excusing. I'm explaining the reality of what happens.
No, listen. A percentage of our people will take the money and go vote. In fact, I'm proud
enough to sway the election.
I'm proud of them because they get smart enough now that they have the red T-shirt and they have the blue T-shirt.
And you will be proud of them for that, Dickie? Come on, man. This might be part of the problem, man.
You just want me about the button. Allow me to finish. So like, listen, they are smart enough to know that these elections only come now and then. Man, they out there hustle and got a girl and got a picnic. They know them, man, they get $100 for wear one T-shirt. They're not interested in a red and blue because whoever wins for their life now and change.
Barely. Yeah.
Along comes a day in their life when they could get 200, no one. Put on the blue and they're wrong, yeah, my boy, yes, man, yeah, boy, and do the same thing. So, I am against blaming the voters. I'm against blaming the people. I would more blame the educated elite who keep their mouth shut. I would blame people who know better and say nothing, because those people out there, they just got only rough idea. They are learning now because they have seen the two political parties function in their lifetime, and they know, okay, who win the election out there,
things not change.
Things not change. You think? So
So we might just have to accept it, because then at the end of the day,
that's what I'm trying
No,
to
we
say
keep
to you.
we keep
and to
striving for
Shamika
better.
White and to Dexter,
strive,
that we have
please
to-
do we really strive for better when we're gonna put on one T-shirt and change it for the
that's
next
a
T-shirt?
small percentage of people.
Yeah.
Don't make that show off the thing. That
It's a big enough percentage to sway the election.
Yeah.
They're the ones that sway the elections, Dickie.
Never. The people who sway elections are the independent voters, the independent thinkers. Die hard red going to vote for red. Die hard blue going to vote for blue. One small handful of crackhead or desperate people want to take money and they want to tear the $100 in half and say, when a win comes for the next half. That's one small percentage of our people. Never blame the sheep.
How much money? How much money does it take to run a campaign when you're running in Belize? How much money and where does that money go?
It comes from the big money where they make contributions.
Right.
Get
Where
it.
does it go? Where does it go?
Well, most of it go into their pockets and a small amount go into the people where you think you're the buy.
Right.
But Lisa Castanedas has joined us. Welcome, Lisa. She says, can anyone explain to us why basic government is not taught in lower level standard schools in Belize? Excellent question. We need to talk to the people.
We lost civic.
They know how to do it, and me, I don't know how to do it. Mario Laro has joined us. Where are things better? Guatemala, Salvador, Nicaragua, USA? Yes, sir, but we no business with them. We live the Belize.
Yeah, but we are part of a global community, Dickie.
Not
Let's be
that
real.
global. We know we could live better.
Not
there.
that global?
No.
In this day and age?
Like I tell you something.
With social networking?
Globalization.
Belize could live. Belize has the resources and the population that we could outstrip and live better than many of those countries. We could have much better.
You go with a populist opinion, though, man. That route there where you to go, me no find no, man.
Hold on, let me tell you. Hold on, me and you live right in the city.
Correct.
Why we don't have no backyard gardening in our yard? Why the Ministry of Agriculture?
You're going off on a tangent now.
No,
okay.
at the lead up to something. Why they interrupt me?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Why we are buying food and beverage out of the supermarkets when we have it right next door from our farmers? You asked
a question. Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
Because I tried it, and number one, the dog then get in there and mess it up. Number two, the neighbor then thief it when it start beer. Number three, I got all kind of animals and restaurants. Backyard farming is as easy as you think. It requires you putting a net, a greenhouse, and that's the only way that will happen.
So why they not take free money and give us some greenhouse then?
All right, that's a good question.
Gretchen Smith is telling you guys good night. Question by Orton. Why is Belize the only country in Central America that the Constitution is not taught in the schools? I don't know if they teach the Constitution in Central America, but the Minister of Education had said some months ago that they have started to teach it in the schools. It's not an easy thing to teach. It's a big, thick document that is boring from page 1 to the last page. But we need to get it out. We need to put it in a better language. We need to explain the rights of people to them. A good question. All right. Will Mihir is joining you, gentlemen and ladies.
Yes, good evening.
And he says, well, I don't know why he agreed with me, but he said, I agree that the crackhead not decide the difference in election. He would know, right, G? But when the teachers and the other professionals take the punches and they vote, then we have a problem. No, we don't, because we don't know how they vote.
We know how they vote.
Full belly can go tell empty belly, stay strong, my boy, stay strong. Then they give out pantry, take the pantry and vote your conscience. Gretchen Smith is saying it is taught at technical schools and at ITV. So there is some teaching of the Constitution. And then Will Mihir say, not true, G Mike. Every day I eat something that I grow and I don't have no greenhouse.
Where he lived at the city? He lived on Southside Belize City?
Listen, we could grow and eat with one thing rather than bite that.
Yes, we can. Right. I find it too realistic, but let's go.
And gentlemen and ladies, we are talking millions of dollars every year, you know. They're not like
Yeah,
only
yeah.
3 million.
And not only that, it would be more healthy and it would be more standard to protecting our physical and health
Yes,
situation.
man. Yes. Jose Luis Ock Espat. Colonialism, slavery can only thrive on ignorance to your rights and your constitutional rights. Yes, that is true, sir.
Well, you spoke of two educations. You spoke of the formal and the informal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think where we are most lacking is the informal, where parents teach their children, and they will learn there the things they don't learn in school, and they will learn it in an honest way, as opposed to just some teacher up there earning their salary.
Yes,
So I think
yes,
we really need to focus
yes.
on that, and
Well,
that might help.
let's do this then.
The
Let's do this.
informal education is important and it is where most people and most young people get their
Can be
learning.
taught. Yeah, but let's do this. This group right here can be a big help. Under the laws of Belize, all radio station and television station must give a portion of their airtime to public matters.
Nobody claims it.
So if you watch the little handful of Belizean television, Channel 5, Channel 7, Amandala, Love FM, Plus TV, Wilmer here got a nice radio station. I want him to put on more educational program that helps people to understand how their country is run rather than those foreign programs will. But let's look at them. They have their biggest audience 6 o'clock when the news come on. When they finish the news within the 60 minutes or so, that's it for Belize. You know. Click on to ABC, click on to CNN, click on to so. They are not living up to a responsibility to help to educate our people. We start right at home because the television is powerful. They are going to lose, and they are losing a lot of that power because things are switching over to the social media, that the younger generation more comfortable with holding that little gadget in their hands and read where they want to read. But until yes, Greg, that's it. But yes, the informal education is important in Belize because the citizens of Belize are really, really lacking in basic knowledge and information. This is a serious problem. The House of Representatives meet once a month. That is only 12 times for a whole year.
Yeah.
How you could run a country like that?
Yeah.
The cabinet meet.
Half of the time when they discuss are just slander against each other.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
few times of constructive debate.
That is
So,
true.
but listen to me, gentlemen, we're out of time, and ladies,
Is it?
it's 9 o'clock.
Oh wow.
This is our time period and we do our educational part on this show. So, in fact, see why you had on some shirts you were supposed to promote, man. What going on with that?
Who's that?
See why the producer of the show. He say me I do something for a couple of minutes, but I guess
y'all take over, but that's cool. I don't mind. I could do it now. I mean,
all right.
thanks everybody for joining in and stuff like that. I appreciate all you guys and let them know we're here every Wednesday. But we are independent, we're not censored, so we could talk about what we want on this show. Everybody opinion is welcome. So if you want to contribute, anybody that's listening and want to help out, we do have t-shirts, T-Smoke t-shirts. Designed by Kingdom Apparel. They $30 a piece. Quality material. You see G Mike wearing one right now, and you could get at us at Sea Smoke. Inbox us at Sea Smoke if you would like to order one. You know what I mean? Shipping and handling on your behalf. But yeah, thanks guys.
All right, so he dropped the 30. I pay 50 for this one.
No, but
That's all right. No, but see, we come here on a weekly basis and we do this pro bono, just for the sake of wanting to stir discussion, no, and talk about matters that needs to be discussed. And we ask that if there's anybody out there that likes what they're hearing, like the show, want to see the show continue, then surely support your way, man. CY handles this from New York City, by the way. We're in Belize City and we're doing what we can. Dickie, thanks for thanks for your contribution. He dropped on listening towards the park and whatnot. Thanks to all who helped with the upcoming trip to Cayo. We got some fabulous football players, and I believe that if we can keep this going with the football thing and whatnot, we're going to have some world-class champions sooner than later. Guys, Ariel, thanks. Gregory, big up until next week. Great, Dickie, thanks a lot, man. And all you guys who dropped in, who were Lisa, Deetra was here throughout the whole show with constructive criticism input as usual. Yes. Thanks a lot. Everybody, respect every time. And also Christopher was here. Thank you, CY. Take it away.
And thanks
for play your position
this evening.
Don't make nobody live free in your mind or in your mansion. You need to stop them, make assumptions.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for peace, the hook up. Big mistake, we judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for peace, the hook up. Big mistake, we judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look. Then they try rob we culturally, we wax lyrically, spiritually, truthfully, exposing evil spirits and hypocrisy. We do this habitually. Keep the mental vibes up at any party. Levels to my chef game is type culinary. Dropping so many gems they call me jewelry. We no need no chat GBT. We do this organically. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician time for place the hook up. Big mistake for judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for please the hook up. Big mistake, for judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look. Bob say, if they turn tonight, you would have find out how much people they hate you just for spite. We good on this side, so they could have hate with all their might. Hate we cause we bars tight. Cause me on my team, they catch Lee light. Don't try bring your feelings to this fuck fight. Call me Cleveland when a time for take flight. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician time for please the hook up. Big mistake for judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician time for please the hook up. Big mistake for judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look. Then they try rob we culturally, we wax lyrically, spiritually, truthfully, exposing evil spirits and hypocrisy. We do this habitually. Keep the mental vibes up at any party. Levels to my chef game is type culinary. Dropping so many gems they call me jewelry. We no need no chat GBT. We do this organically. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician time for please the hook up. Big mistake for judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician. Many more is open. To the right one, Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love with heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right one, Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. Make one bread that try to stop me in a me box. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollars in a stock. Best friend about the claim, they dread, they smoke. How the lyrics, where they drop the walk. Big game hunters, them they set them trap. But when they pray to the Father non-stop, help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens back. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan, Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love with heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan, Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that judge with the load. We run up into enough obstacles. Surprisingly, from we own people. Them just hate to see the dread. We say pinnacle, them a hope and pray. Say we stumble, but we burning both ends of the scandal. Daily routine with the Bible. Despite the effort of the devil, we have to reach Jaja's steeple. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. Me one brother try to stab me in a me back. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollar in a stock. Best friend about the claim, the dread, the smoke. How the lyrics where will they drop the walk? Big game hunters them they set them trap. But will they pray to the Father non-stop? Help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens. They say you never miss your water until your well run dry. And overspilled milk, a big man is not supposed to cry. Well then, butter brim, if the woman butter brim, them could have charged her for sin. Butter brim, straight cleaning, in search of fucking. Butter brim, fully they made examine, figure and lose such a sweet brownie. Butter brim, now it's the dread she call it when she need sexual healing. Anyways, one man lost is another man's gain. If you can't handle the traffic, then stay out the lane. Behind her beautiful smile, she was hiding her pain. You couldn't see the tears due to the falling rain. But with a woman emotions, son, you don't wanna play games. Then got certain moves over, put you to shame, and then you begging and you balling will all be in vain. When you bet she call the next man name. Remember all of the first time you meet it. You have to do that plus much more for keep it. Candlelight dinner, wine and chocolate. Don't forget the roses, big man, you stalk it. You should have me walk her down to the pulpit and remove her sexy ass from off for the market. Your friends don't have no woman, but them calling you whip. And like an idiot, you believe it. Butter brim, if you're the woman, butter brim, them gonna charge her for sin. Butter brim, straight cleaning, in search of fucking. Butter brim, fully made examine, figure and lose such a sweet specimen. Butter brim, now it's the dread she call it when she needs sexual healing. A woman is a gift unto humanity. Treat her with respect and dignity. Heed the words of the great Tyrus Riley. She royal, will treat her like royalty. She works, she cooks, she clean and wash your stinking laundry. All she wanted in return was your loyalty. Could I make her a carnival free karaoke? Her love just come down and she need a remedy. You met her at the peak of her sexuality. Wrong time to leave a big woman lonely. Pretty like an angel, but she well freaking. And now she feeling horny. Income not a dread to fulfill her fantasy. She blows when I whisper sweet nothing softly. She's on a journey. Onto ecstasy. Butter brim, if you're the woman, butter brim, them gonna charge her for sin. Butter brim, straight cleaning, in search of fucking. Butter brim, fully they made examine, figure and lose such a sweet brownie. Butter brim, now it's the dread she call it when she need sexual healing. Fool him, know him, holding him palm my hand. Woman recently inherited acres of land. Cassava, cocoa, ganja and yam. Yeah, stripping out the box to make the Cessna land. DJ, turn up the bass and make the dance all ram. See why not the building with a brand new song. Word to the wise, all my youth man, you need exceptional skills to keep a good man.
Main ingredient, communication. Stop, listen for answer alarm, so listen for overstand. All she ever needed was your affection, your kissing, caressing, and attention. You couldn't solve this complex equation, so go back on the rock, hence you crawl out from. You get the test and you feel the exam. Nobody dread, they read the diagram. But a brim, they wear the woman, but a brim. Them got the charter for sin, but a brim. Straight cleaning, in search of a king. But a brim, fool need a made examine figure, lose such a sweet brownie. But a brim, now it's the dread she call it when she needs sexual healing.
Crossover dribble through the middle. Can't play like you got someone like a fiddle. Hey. And fool tell Bones say how, see why I talk too fast. Bones telling they have to listen slow. Yo. This is not Ties or Us, my own. You better fetch your thesaurus or a little help from your friend the Rhinoceros. Don't stare directly into the light, or your brains will be clouded with cordite. I'll make your head nod like birds in flight, or like the way honeys be acting when they doing it right. Open all night, I'm scribing novels, pour syrup over whack MCs cause they waffle. I'm keeping them baffled, get supplied with toxic tracks that'll make them marvel at the bass's decibel. No cure, everyone is susceptible to this technique, permeating this new millennium. You so far underground, I need sonar to locate your sound. My stilo is hard but sweet like Paul go round. Pandominium, even if I was just a hum. Higher echelon, this is stressing in meta-desolate section of your cranium. Step upon this icon, magnate, mortar, distant star, illuminating this here rat's fear, piercing the darkness. Don't give up your day job to venture into my wilderness. I chew up furloughs like cigar at the Preakness, locating your weakness, then lock on. I'm feeling like the stealth, putting night raids over Iran. You may try to borrow, thinking your last name is Salam, but my mission is to seek and destroy. So, listen up. Bye. Listen up. I started with one step, but I journeyed for miles. Now I am the franchise. Kick back, check the NASDAQ, watch my stock rise. Like Mercury in July on the east side, taking fools to their untimely demise. Besides, on an asteroid I ride, to places where few true scholars reside. Instead of dropping rhymes, you dropping nickels and dimes. With a click in time, murder 9. Hawaiian necktie before you commit the unspeakable crime. Making rap waters murky, herky-jerky. Sucking up the boys' flow like it was a slurpee. I've got unparalleled vintosity. I'm keeping it real so real could keep it for me. Pulling your whole card, show everybody you dirty. Then leave you lying in a state of purgatory.
Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from a Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my kings, rocking kingdom apparel. Source from the Pharaoh, I do this for my queens, rocking kingdom apparel.
Don't need to recount the votes. I'm here to destroy all your hopes, dreams, aspirations. It's like poetry with musical inclinations. I see you peripherally, breathe easily, step lightly like on eggshells, or see real shells. I ring bells, bling bling is green. Don't necessarily need to be seen, but I do need to be heard. In my brain I've accumulated mucho verbs. I'm taking